Frack on. Welcome to the episode of Frack The Canon. We're talking about episode 2, Loki, the variant. So let's start with we have today. We have someone who hasn't been on the show for a minute, Miss Sara Kinney.
Hey guys.
Mr. Tyler Weist.
Hey guys.
Mr. Kenny Jasper.
How's it going?
And last but not least, my brother from another mother, CJ McCree from Milwaukee. What's up, good sir?
What's up, man? You took all my favorite rhymes, bro.
Sorry, not sorry? Alrighty. So we'll be discussing about Loki episode 2. So Sarah, since you've been on it for a minute, what are your thoughts on Loki episode 2, the variant?
I liked it. I'm sorry I missed your review of episode 1, but I felt like episode 1 was kind of like a review of past Lokis. And I don't know if you guys felt the same way because I haven't seen the other episode that you guys did, but this one finally started having some plot and some action that was new. And so I was very excited to like move forward and have like an actual story. My one problem is like I feel like Loki is too changed from like he's from the first Avengers Loki, and I feel like he's too kind of go with the flow instead of this giant egomaniac that he was in the movie. So I'm kind of trying to balance that as I watch it. But yeah, I liked it.
All right, Tyler, your thoughts on episode 2?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it out of the gate. It was very philosophical. It very much reminded me of the last episode of WandaVision with the two visions talking about the ship of Theseus. Because there was a lot of dialogue between Owen Wilson's character and Loki about like, what do you make of life, and are you in control of your own destiny? And of course, Loki believes he's in control of his own destiny, and Mobius doesn't believe that. And side note, and I loved the ending. But also side note, I especially love how Mobius establishes the ultimate apex of human civilization was in the 1990s, and jet skis. Just saying.
All right, Kenny.
Yeah, I agree with what Tyler said. The very philosophical episode. I always am hesitant when time travel gets involved in my storylines because it starts to get a little messy. I think that they've done a pretty good job so far of continuing like the timeline that they've created, and I actually ended up watching this episode twice, and it helped me understand some things that kind of went over my head the first time. And I really like how they're containing this story right now. To go off of something Sara said, I've actively been trying to ignore that Loki is supposed to be a murderous like person that we hate, and they've made him a great person that we enjoy watching. And so I'm trying to just push that out of my head and forget that part of what Loki's supposed to be.
CJ, your thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, well, to speak a little bit to like that point that Kenny just said, if I'm going right after him, I think that like the first episode like does its best to try and it's almost like it's trying to catch this Loki up to the other Loki that we're like more familiar with, like by kind of giving them like, here's your greatest hits of what happened, you know what I mean, like in the MCU or what's gonna happen, the decisions you're gonna make, kind of. But like also the way it hits them and the way that Mobius and I guess by extension the TVA is kind of trying to play Loki into like helping them. I think this creates a different Loki than we know, but also like it's kind of like matured him to a point where he also isn't that exact same Loki from the first Avengers movie like he is, but like he's grown. And I feel like the first episode was like, I guess you could say it had a lot of heavy lifting to do, because like that's like all it did, that's all it accomplished, like that's all it was trying to do too, was like, hey, let's get Loki to this place, to this new beginning place. And so now here's our story. And to that point, you know, like a lot of people really like this episode, and I don't hate this episode, and it doesn't like deter me from want to watch this series because I really like the first episode. But this episode didn't really hit me all that well, actually. Like there was a lot of, because I felt like they began so strong. I felt like there was a lot of like I don't know. In a lot of like mystery shows, there's like this obligatory like, all right, let's slow down and figure out the mystery episode, right? Like, and I feel like this was that episode, but it was episode 2, so it was like too soon for me. It was like, wait, hold on, like we just got going and you're putting the brakes on this already. But so it I don't know, tonally or pacely, not tonally, pacely, which is not a word, but I don't know the right word for that. Pace wise, it didn't really hit me all that well, but there were still a lot of things that I liked in it, like anything about the lore and the idea of like the variant hiding in apocalypses. I thought was very clever, and but some of the humor didn't really hit me as well, and I think that kind of speaks to what Kenny and Sara were even saying, though, like this character, like buying this murderous character, and you're kind of making him a bit of a Daffy Duck a little bit, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it's, all right, like I don't know, I'm not always with that, side of it. It's like I do like when they make him, they kind of emphasize how clever he is and stuff, but like when they kind of make him a little more goofy or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it feels like they're kind of trying to like mirror Thor's journey too, in some way, you know what I mean? Like there are instances where it feels like they're trying to kind of break down the godness of Loki, you know what I mean, and kind of try to make him feel like more human, you know what I mean? But yeah. Overall, like I don't know, like if I was pressed for a grade, I'd probably give this like a 6.5, this episode, because I really like the end of it. And the score of this show is freaking amazing, by the way. But freaking, I really like the end of it, like the whole Rocks card and beyond. But before that, I wasn't really super into what was going on.
I would second what you said. Like at first, I love the intro. I love that they brought in Bonnie Tyler's holding out for a hero, which what the frack is going on this week with that freaking song? Like 3 different songs shows have that song. I'm like, I love that. I'm like, what? When I first heard it, I'm like, okay. But going back to what CJ said, I felt like, honestly, I learned nothing new about the character. I learned nothing new about the plot. I'm like, this is kind of, it felt almost fillerish to me, like a little bit. Like we're still learning, like when they're like, he's saying that the brain's hiding in the apocalypse. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool, but nothing else really. The scene where he's in Pompeii, that was funny.
Mihi nomen est Loki, praefectus concilii ad tempus mutandem, atque ad vero acerbum nuntium ad vos omnes, morituri estis, iste mons, ignes, pastos per saecola in vos est, eu obiturus.
I'm like, it doesn't really add anything. Not making any sense. Let's talk about that reveal about the variant being who they say they are, who people think it is. Does everyone think that character is Lady Loki? Tyler, go ahead.
Oh no, I don't think it's Lady Loki, and I can tell you why.
Go ahead.
Do you want to also know who I think it is?
Go for it.
Okay, so this character has a completely different power set than Loki. Notice how in the Avengers, Loki needed the Soul Stone to mind control Hawkeye. And
Yep.
Yep. So like, not and then when Loki called her Loki, she's like, "Don't call me that." So I personally think it's the Enchantress. That's just my theory.
Okay, interesting. Could didn't we see Enchantress in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
No.
Haven't
No.
seen all.
I don't think so.
No, and it's all but confirmed Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is pretty much not going to be MCU canon.
Okay.
And they slightly hinted at that with the Coulson stuff in episode 1.
I don't remember that.
Because, well, basically, Loki
good
killed
call.
Coulson for saying the same thing Mobius did.
Oh.
Like, for God, you lose a lot. And so the way that fans are taking it is because of that. It seems like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't gonna. It might still be tied to the MCU, but not as heavily as that show has used characters and whatnot.
Got it. Okay. So you think it's Enchantress?
Yeah.
I agree with Tyler. I think it's Enchantress too. Two big things. One, the glowing green, the eyes. when Loki's ever had control of anybody in Avengers, that wasn't present, and I know that he used the stone. And two, Loki goes out of his way to explain how his powers work.
No, they're two completely different powers, actually.
How?
Illusion projection involves depicting a detailed image from outside oneself, which is perceptible in the external world, whereas duplication casting entails recreating an exact facsimile of one's own body in its present circumstance, which acts as a true holographic mirror of its molecular structure. But you already knew that.
He talks really fast and uses big words. And so it's easy to kind of let it go over your head or think that he's just being himself. I think that that plays a bigger part into what the Disney Plus shows have already done multiple times over, which is the misdirect of it's this bad guy and then they give us this bad guy. I personally, I've wanted Enchantress for a while. I think Lady Loki is kind of a lame duck out, but there's possibility that maybe it's two in the same. Maybe it is kind of Lady Loki, but now she has Enchantress's powers because that's where the variant's from. But I lean more toward the Enchantress side.
I'm not the lady in the group. Sarah, what do you think?
I mean, I don't really know. I was excited that it was a woman. I like female like villains. So for me, that was like, yay. I don't really know as much about the comics for this thread, so I can't really say like I'm the expert on who she could and could not be. But I'm excited to find out. I did like the reveal though, because just having like a female for him to go up against, I think it's going to be fun.
CJ, good sir.
I think, I guess speculation wise, like my opinion lies kind of somewhere in what Kenny was just saying, because historically speaking, in the MCU, they kind of take piecemeal from different comic stuff, you know what I mean? Like things aren't necessarily one-to-one from the comics. Like it's like, oh, this is kind of like this, but it's also kind of like this too. You know what I mean? Like case in point, the one that everybody is pissed at, but like no one ever thinks about all the rest of them. But Iron Man 3, right? Aldrich Killian and the Mandarin, they kind of like fuse those characters together, kind of, you know what I mean? But they do that a lot in the MCU, you know what I mean? Like that's just one that was kind of a hot button. But so that's why kind of my speculation lies to that. But I have another question though, pertaining to this.
All right, go ahead.
Guys, what's up?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Like, do you guys think like, okay, like our speculation is based on like this character reveal that we got in episode 2, but do you guys think that this is the variant we're looking for as well? Like whether it's Lady Loki or you know, Enchantress, but is this the one that we're looking for, or is this like almost another misdirect?
Or they're like multiple variants doing things at the same time. I thought that too.
I think this is the one where the one we're looking for, because this is the one that's been killing and kidnapping the Minutemen. But here's something that I found interesting about this character. When Loki is being his ass kicked by the different people, one of them was like, I would never do this to myself.
Thank you for helping me stall for time. You really do love to hear yourself talk. What?
I would never treat me like this.
Yeah.
And then the other one is when she's like, I hate that name.
What say you, Loki?
Don't call me that. You can call me Randy.
I'm like, this isn't Lady Loki. This isn't Loki. Something, so in the Spanish version, my cousin pointed this out to me. I didn't know about it, but in the European Spanish, that character is credited as not as a variant, but as Sylvie. And in the comics, Sylvie is someone who's a regular human being. When Asgard is living on, they have Asgard on Earth. She's the one that gets Loki's powers. So what do you guys think about that? That could be, it's not Lady Loki, but it's just some human who got Loki's powers. What do you guys think about that?
That's possible. It's still the question that I've asked after the end of episode 2, and the question that I'll continue to ask until is answered. And side note, the show's done a great job of a question will pop in my head and then 2 lines later they answer it. So I know the answer will probably come. is how did we get to this variant sort of time jumping? Like what ability do they have, or how did they get here to be able to do that? So I think that that's kind of the question you gotta, or like the source question that you gotta ask, to break down to what character it is. So maybe something happened. But I think that's a really cool concept, and definitely I would enjoy that more than just it's Lady Loki, I think.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, Loki is mischievous. Like, I mean, even though we know him, at least in the first Avengers, as this murderous guy, like even they in the first episode they even dress like, do you like killing? And I think the answer is no. I think he likes being a trickster. And I feel like the villain of this show, she's not doing this to kind of with like a sideways grin. It seems very on the nose. Like she's like, I'm doing this to feed my end gains. And it doesn't seem all that true to what the character we know, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I would agree to take off what Sarah was saying. Yeah, and I think like the sign, this is a mystery show, not in the same way that WandaVision was, but this is a mystery. This is a show about a mystery. This is a detective show. They're time detectives, and so like I do think that. Yeah, like that. It's like that. I'm sorry, I forgot what I was even talking about. What I was saying. What did you end with, Sarah? What did you stop?
Well, she's just not mischievous. Like I feel like Loki's he's a trickster. I mean, true to the legends, like.
And she isn't.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, like what I was trying to say is, yeah, I think the signs are there and they're pointing towards what she's saying. Like this character might be different from Loki. Because, like I said, yeah, the signs are kind of pointing towards that, And I think there's something of value in like her even saying this isn't about you.
What is this about?
This isn't about you.
At the end, before she runs off, like that stuck with me because it's like I think that means so much more. You know what I mean? Okay, so what is going on here? Like, and maybe that even means like this isn't about a Loki variant. When you know what I mean when she says that. Maybe that even means like this isn't about you. This ain't about a Loki variant. This is about me in the Time Force, or this is about whatever that means to her history. Why she's doing this at all?
I'm sorry. Did you say Time Force?
I did.
I'm sorry. I would Power Rangers. Like, no, sorry. My brain went into that.
It's Time 4.
Time Force. Sorry. I'm just sorry, but I'm sorry. I'm like, you mentioned Power Rangers. Take a shot.
What do we think her goal is? Like, is she trying to destroy the Time Lords, or like?
Because she's
not trying to leave.
I wanted to ask that same question only because the next Doctor Strange movie is called Multiverse of Madness, right? And the timeline is to prevent multiverses from happening. At the end of episode 2, what has she done? She's dropped time bombs and started destroying the main timeline to create multiverses.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I'm right there with Kenny.
Well, up to what end though? Like why?
Right.
Like Sarah was saying, to what end game? What is your end game?
Yeah. So I think she wants to have control of her own timeline. That's my theory.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, that just sparked something in my head, because if she is a Loki, given the context of this episode where they talk a lot about the free will, she probably has a lot of the same frustration that the variant Loki has, which is, if I'm doing this, I should, like, my will is my own essentially. And maybe she's frustrated with the concept, or feels like that her will isn't her own because of the timeline keepers. And this is her answer to that.
And that would make for an incredible foil to Loki because of I don't know about if foil is the right word, but because of like the philosophical questions that they've already posed, the idea that Mobius is like one side of that, and that her now is another side of that. You know what I mean? Like, and now Loki is our window into this world. You know what I mean? Loki is maybe the one who makes the choice as to which way the scale tips, and that'll be interesting as we continue into this series.
Yeah, there's a little micro moment in the end of the episode where Loki it stops, looks at the portal, and then looks back at Mobius, and he's thinking about, what do I do? And I think that's exactly what you were talking about, where he is going to struggle with in the balance between chaos and order as to like, where do I go? And he definitely just jumped in the portal there. So we know where he's going as of right now.
Well, where is he going though? Because we've seen footage in some of the ads where it's Loki with Mongolian people and it's Loki for president. So like, what is that? Is that, I wonder if, I mean, yeah, I'm still confused, but why does she want why does anyone want the multiverse? Like, why recreate the multiverse? Like, what do we have? So we've understood, they explained to us why the multiverse is bad, but no one's come out why the multiverse is good so far. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, well, I think anyone who wants, like, doesn't like being told what to do,
Gotcha.
someone like Loki, obviously would do what it takes to ensue chaos. So they're like the anti-order. So if Enchantress or whoever this character is following in those same footsteps, they will let the world burn down in order to rule the ashes.
So like a Joker kind of thing. Like some people just want to see the world burn, Master Wayne. Sorry, wrong franchise.
Wrong universe.
Yeah. and I'm pretty sure you misquoted it too.
Right, you guys?
I will say I do Loki's purposes ultimately serve his own. I think that's something they've kind of continually hammered about the character in all of the movies and in the show. I think what could be cool, or what could possibly come if it is Enchantress, like a comic book. I know that there's a couple storylines where Enchantress and Loki end up getting together. And I know that there's speculation of possibly like Kid Loki coming at some point. And I'll maintain that what I said last when we did episode 1 of the Disney Plus shows, this is the one that is going to, I think, based on the first 2 episodes, is going to move the MCU universe forward, not just its characters, but its whole universe. So I wouldn't be shocked if Enchantress was lived in a universe where Loki and her were together and had a family, and maybe this is her trying to get that back, like kind of like, you know, our heroes did in Endgame. Maybe it's just the villain's version of that, because it's very similar, like hopping timelines, going through history to save what you had or bring back what you had, which was taken from you. Maybe it's something like that.
Interesting. I have no idea. We'll have to wait episode 3, see what's going on. But yeah, overall, like I said, like I thought episode 2 was fine till the end. That reveal, I didn't feel much happened. For the first scene with "I need a hero." Yeah. Any final comments? Any final thoughts?
I just want to add that I like the lady cop that Loki keeps messing with. Like, I just really like her as a character, and I hope she gets more interactions with him.
If she survives the multiverse, yeah, she's funny. Yeah, she's cool. I love. Sorry, go ahead. And CJ.
I mean, I guess I would agree. Yeah, I like the lady cop. I am interested in the fact that this multiverse kind of redlining so early in the show. You know what I mean? Like episode 2. So like when going into this series, I kind of thought that this might break us into Multiverse of Madness. Now I don't think so much. I think it's probably it being so early in the show, like I feel like they have a lot more chance to kind of wrap that up in a different way. And MCU also kind of likes to be really self-contained with their stuff too. As much cross through as there is, they do like to make everything kind of wrap most of what it sets up in its own thing. You know what I mean? And I have to feel that they will feel that way about in the Multiverse of Madness and Loki as well. You know what I mean? So I guess my pre-speculation to the show has changed a little bit. Now I feel like this is maybe probably just like a placeholder, like, hey, this is how easy it is to mess with the time, mess with the multiverse kind of a thing, you know what I mean? And then they blow it wide open in Doctor Strange.
Tyler.
So all I gotta say is I like how quickly the show's moving along, as compared to WandaVision, and to some extent Falcon and Winter Soldier. The first 2 episodes of those other shows felt more sluggish, and this show feels very well paced, even with enough time to have these sort of philosophical dialogue. And also, I expect, and I will be very unhappy if I do not see Mobius on a jet ski by the end of this show.
Kenny.
Yeah. So I think in the timeline we were supposed to get the show first of the Disney Plus release order. I think they had to move stuff around. And if that's the case, then I think it's because they put a little bit more love and attention into this, or I'm hoping that's the case. From the first 2 episodes, I'm expecting, or my hopes are now high for the rest of the series. And the only thing I can think of to add to this is, like, I know in the comics, the 3 shows that we've gotten, all of those characters have some connection or role to the potential next big villain. I know Loki plays a part, with like the potential hell stuff. WandaVision obviously like wanting to get her kids back, and needing to potentially go to hell to get her kids back. And at that point in time, US Agent is the current Captain America in the universe. So I don't know if these shows were picked first as for that particular reason. But you got to build up something heavier than Thanos. I'm just excited that for the rest of the year, there's Marvel content for pretty much every month, except for I think like October. So I'm excited.
So far I'm interested. Like for me, I've noticed that at least these shows on Disney Plus, I don't get hooked on fully till episode 3 or 4. So for me, like with WandaVision, I'm like, okay, what is happening? I didn't get hooked till episode 4 for Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I think is when we find out. I don't remember what it was, but I remember being at episode 4. I'm like, okay, I'm in now. I think it's when they're fighting with the Black Panther police. What are they called?
Yeah.
Yes, the Remolage. And then this one, I'm like, okay. This one, it's like Loki is not my favorite. Like again, Thor is the most fun because of Jamie Alexander, of course. But Loki's, it's weird because to me Loki has become kind of a hero instead of like being the villain that he's always been in the comics. And I don't know how I feel about that yet. I'm like, I don't know, because I wouldn't call him an anti-hero, but he's not really a villain either. Does that make any sense? He's definitely varied from so, but we'll see. But I'm still intrigued. I want to know what happens. What happens when we go through the timer? Go ahead, Kenny. You want to say something?
He is your savior and the god of mischief.
I'm Catholic, all right? I already got a savior.
And he doesn't dress like that.
Yeah.
Cap said, so says Cap. The Cap has spoken.
Yeah. Renee, sorry to catch this. Did Sara get final thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, didn't you?
Yeah. I like the lady cop. I want more.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the lady cop. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for joining. We'll see you same freaking time, same freaking channel. Frack off.